I think GODOX may have gone a little bit overboard with the TL180 RGB tube lights. Yeah. I did that reveal to give you some context for just how long or how tall 180 centimeters is. You can see that the light is just a little bit off the ground and it's now coming up right to my head height. How tall am I? 7'4". Wait, that's not right. I'm 6'2". I wish I had a better way to showcase this light for you and to really show it off and make it look amazing. But alas, I am feeling bereft of creativity and also short on filmmaking friends currently. It's sad, really, and I just thought you should know that. Tube lights are, I think they remain pretty popular and relevant for a lot of people, and there's nothing really new about this light except for its tremendous length. It has all the same features as far as I'm aware that the previous GODOX tube lights have, the TL120, the TL60, TL30. I think those are all the right numbers. There's one negative that I'll point out, and it's been a negative with GODOX's tube lights up to this point and hasn't really been fixed with this one. And that's just the visibility of the individual bulbs. The diffusion issue with the GODOX tube lights, I wanted to show you what to expect at different apertures. So this is f2.8, this is 3.2, 3.5, 4.0, 4.5, 5, and it's hard for me to see on the monitor, but it looks to me like you can start to see them. 5.6, yeah, definitely start seeing them now. 6.3, 7.1, f8. So that's still a concern. The only other negative that I have with this light in particular is that it didn't come with a bag or a case. But if you are just going to use it in a studio or for YouTube and you're just going to leave it in a room, then that's not an issue. There's so many different use cases for these kinds of lights. I feel like with the 180 centimeter length, it's a little bit more limited. Like if you wanted to do product video or B-roll, if you're showcasing some kind of like product that you wanted to light with all these crazy tube lights, then the size of this one makes that a little more challenging. I can't even like stand this thing up except in the very middle of the room where the ceiling's the tallest. Definitely is a concern. If you have a smaller space, then probably stay away from the TL180. I'm currently using it as my key light to light this video, and it's not the softest light. It's not gonna be as soft a source as a, can you see that? No, you can't see that. As a COB light with a softbox or some other kind of diffusion. But it is softer than a COB light, just bare bulb. If you don't have diffusion, if you don't have a big softbox or shower curtain or something to shoot your light through, and maybe you're just thinking about using this, then this is the result that you can expect. It's not too bad because it is a pretty big source, so that does help soften it, but it's definitely not as soft. And so you can hopefully see in that camera back there the relative position. I could try to move it a little bit closer. I do have some room. My camera settings are shutter speed 1/50, f1.8. The ISO on this camera, the A7 IV, is set to 800. The light's set to 58.5%. A lot of leeway to get brighter if need be. And just to see if you could use this as a key light but soften it, I'm gonna flip it around and bounce it off the wall. That exposure is still doable. Well, I think that's pretty close to where I was. You can see in this camera where the light is positioned. I now have it at 100%, and this is the effect that I'm getting. I already mentioned that it doesn't come with a bag or any kind of case. As for what it does come with, not much, but you get an RJ45 cable, and I don't know exactly what you would do with this, but I'm sure any professional grip gaffer type people would know a good use case for that. It comes with 3 of these metal, what do you call these, clips. I have one on the light currently, so you get 3 of these. As you can see, I just have this stuck to a spigot in the arm of my C-stand. So that's one way that you can put this light up on a stand. But I would really recommend getting, if you want to mount this on a stand of some kind, I'd recommend getting an optional bracket. So they have a 2-light bracket and a 4-light bracket kit. Even if you only get 1 light, I still recommend getting the 2-light bracket. It'll just be a much more secure way to mount it onto a stand, and also much easier to to position it how you want to. So those stands are pretty cool because you can just loosen up the bottom and then they kind of rotate around almost 360 degrees. So once you get it on the stand and on the bracket, the light will be really secure, and then you can position it how you want to. The way I have it now is okay, but having only one of these on there, there's definitely some flex in the tube considering how long it is, and there's only really one way to mount it. So just having it mounted at least in two places would make it more secure. It comes with 2 steel cables, so then you can just hang this from something, hang the light, and that makes it pretty simple. I'm going to quickly, hopefully, go over the features of the light. So you can control all of the different functions, the different modes on the light itself with the buttons on the light. You can also use the GODOX Light app, which just recently got pretty much a total overhaul. There's a lot more fine-tuning abilities with different modes with various lights that are compatible with the app. For the most part, it's a good app. It's a little bit buggy, and there's a couple UI things that they still kind of need to work out. But I'm going to use the app just because it's easier to show you what's going on. So currently I'm in the HSI mode, hue, saturation, intensity. You just have a color wheel so you can grab the little reticule here and drag that around to different hues. And if you're at the edge, you can see the saturation is at 100%. And as you drag towards the center, it becomes less saturated, and then the middle is, going to be white. You also have these colors at the top, which I kind of thought were sort of in color pairs, kind of complementary colors, but they're not all. So that one is more like I can't remember the name, I'm not a color theorist, but some of them are more opposite each other. So I didn't know if this was a way, if you had like at least 2 lights, that you could set them to a complementary color pair really easily. But I'm not exactly sure what those are for, but maybe it's just a quick way to grab a color. So that's the HSI, pretty simple. And then jumping up to the CCT, this is just the bicolor mode. And this is simple too. You can either change colors by hitting these 2 arrows, and you can see the number value there, or you can drag on this little chart or graph or whatever you want to call it. So this light can go from 2700 Kelvin to 6500 Kelvin in increments of 100. So it's really simple to pick out color there, and it's nice to have it represented very clearly, warm, white, and cool. And then RGB mode. I don't know the difference really between HSI and RGB. It seems to have the same capabilities. So instead of the color wheel, you basically just have kind of a color picker here, and with the same reticule that you can just, am I saying that right? Reticule. That you can drag this around. At the bottom, you're going to have the most saturated colors, and then towards the top, it's just going to be white. The problem with this, I mentioned the UI. As you drag this around, as long as you hold it, then you will still be able to drag it. But if you drop it here at the bottom, now you're kind of overlaying the brightness controls, and you won't be able to grab that reticule anymore. So then you will have to just tap out of it. The RGB mode has 2 different variations. So this is the color gamut mode, and you can see it's telling you the different values for RGB and W. And then if you go to the RGBW variation, you'd have just an RGB and white slider. So to get a certain hue, you just add or subtract the various red, green, blue, and more saturated would be the white at the bottom and less saturated would be the top. Another bug here seems particularly with this white channel, when you get it down to the bottom, it's really difficult to get it out. So a couple things they need to work on with this app. All right, next is the gel mode. So there are 2 categories, R and L. Positive that stands for Roscoe and Lee, which are the 2 big gel manufacturers. And there are 20 total for each, so 40 total. And they are labeled by number value. And I guess these correspond to, if you go to Roscoe's website, for instance, they have many more gels than this, but they're all designated by particular numbers. So if you go to their website, then you can find out probably the name of these as well. So if you were looking for like CTB, I'm guessing it's that one. Pretty blue. Maybe this is, I don't know, half or a quarter. I'm not really sure. So if you need to find out what these are exactly, then you'd probably need to find the website. But you do have all these gels. So if you are working with non-LED lights on set and need to match gels, match lights that are using gels, then this is cool. But also it's just a way to grab a very particular hue that would be otherwise difficult to find probably with HSI or RGB. Next is the FX mode. There's 14 total effects. They're all pretty standard things by now we're all used to seeing. A lot of them have 3 different variations, which usually is just a faster cycling through the effect. So this is the RGB cycle, and then of course they all have a brightness. So I'm not going to go through them because some of them have really intense flashing lights, and I don't want to give anybody a seizure. The standards, you know, TV, candle, fire, fireworks, police, fire truck, ambulance. The last mode is the color picker. This is cool. You have to give it permissions to use your camera and your gallery. Once or if you do that, you can take photos of something. So if you're working on like a product shoot or a commercial and you need to match like brand colors or something, you can take a picture of a product. For instance, I have a picture of this sparkling water can, and then you can, you know, make sure that you have the colors within this box that you want to replicate. Once you do, you hit done. It'll show up in the color picker, and then you can select, you know, whatever color you need to match from that photograph. So that's pretty cool. And then you can save these as favorites. Just hit save, and then you can give it a name, and then it'll pop up here, in the favorites folder. I really enjoy this light. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's nothing new in terms of its features and functionality that we haven't seen before with these kinds of lights, or even these kinds of lights from GODOX. I guess the big new thing here is just that it's a big thing. I think that's everything. As always, I appreciate you watching. If you've got any questions, you know where to go, and maybe I'll see you in another one.
Hey, Cat, are you disrespecting me? Sarge, I don't think he's disrespecting you. I think he's just lazy.